Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone, and it's our pleasure to invite you to tonight's Digital Marketing Transformation Conference, organized by Webster University Geneva. And my name is Kasia Jagodzinska. I'm the Director of Executive Education, responsible for the Digital Marketing Certificate. With me today, I have the head of the Walker School of Business and Technology, Professor Dominique Joly, as well as our precious panelists, whom I'm going to very shortly introduce, so that you can see what their level of experience, what their level of expertise is. Then I'm going to leave the floor to our panelists. I will allow them to present their profile to you in more detail. And then we're going to open the discussion. We have a few questions. The theme is digital marketing transformation, basically in the times of crisis. So we're here to benefit from the practical insights and the expertise of our panelists, to talk about the most recent trends in digital marketing, to talk about how the field of digital marketing changes in relation to new technology and also in relation to the pandemic situation that we're facing now. More importantly, also, we're going to focus on practical insights on how to increase your employability in the market. So what to pay attention to, what are the channels of digital transformation, and so on. In short, what are the recent trends? We'll leave around 10 to 15 minutes for a question and answer session at the end of the discussion. Feel free also to send us any questions that you might have already in the conference, during the conference, in the chat box, and we'll be addressing them after our panelists have finished their addressing of the questions. So we have with us today Jannis Koasidis. Jannis is a digital marketing professional with close to 15 years of experience. Currently, he's a senior manager in the global digital excellence team at Bayer Consumer Health. He's based in Basel in Switzerland. We also have Luigi Matrone, who is a former P&G global marketing manager. He left the company to pursue his own passion for entrepreneurship, technology, innovation, creating the eBusiness Institute, and later co-founding Smarter Change, a change which is a technology platform that supports manufacturing leaders through the Industry 4.0 transformation. So very interesting background as well. We have also Pierre Berndes, who is a digital advertising expert and pioneer in the field. Over the past 20 years, Pierre has been coaching brands and mentoring agencies on how to transform their sales and marketing organization, so he can provide a gold mine of insights on coaching and mentoring and the latest trends that are currently surfacing in the field of digital marketing. And finally, we have Szarski, who is a marketing expert with over 20 years of experience. He started his career in marketing department of a daily business newspaper, and after 6 years, he moved to the digital field. He worked as a digital marketing manager in the gaming company CD Projekt and business development, and is a business development manager in the largest local social media group. So as you can see by these short intros and profiles, we have a variety of expertise that all channels us towards the common theme of digital marketing transformation. And with this short intro, I leave the floor to our panelists. So Jannis, if you could tell us a few words about your career in digital marketing, more insights, and in general, share any information that you wish to structure the discussion that will follow.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me here. So my name is Jannis Koasidis. I do work in Bayer Consumer Health, so in a pharma OTC company in the Global Digital Excellence team. What I do is I help our brands to transform their digital marketing activities related to own channels mostly, digital content and creative, both strategy, but also pilots and execution at scale. My career, most of my career, I was working in the digital or near the digital marketing industry. I started in a small tech company that was running a social networking site for professionals, which was very exciting because it was like LinkedIn before LinkedIn. Then I moved to Accenture and P&G, which was like the big world and the best practices of digital. This is probably the time, like 10, 12 years ago, when I've learned most of what I currently use. So it really, the beginnings of your career are very important. I was working as a digital project manager. I then joined a startup digital agency, which was very exciting. On the other hand, the agency has grown a lot, and I ended up co-leading the operations of the agency. And the thing I value the most is probably that working with clients from so many different industries, from airlines to yogurt brands, but also with Google or with Virgin Mobile, that was quite an experience and kind of helped me to choose my path. I then moved to a big agency, Saatchi Saatchi, as a digital director for P&G and GSK. And then I joined Bayer. So to sum up, I think my career was, from a small tech company to international environment where I spent most of my career. I think it really helps me a lot today because I had the chance to work and to look at digital from different points of view, from technology, from the creative side, but finally also from business and strategy side.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Luigi, a few words about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. And good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here. I have a career that spans from corporate to entrepreneurship. As you were mentioning, Kasia, I was in Procter & Gamble for 7 years. Between Italy and Geneva, I worked on brands like Duracell or Oral-B as a global marketeer. The interesting thing is that between 2005 and 2012, those are my 7 P&G years, we went through a phase of transformation in the digital marketing space because, and here I would love to ask all of you, we did not have things like YouTube, Facebook, the iPhone, and so on and so forth. So we did not have the infrastructure that we have today for digital marketing. So they were interesting year of transformation, and I had the pleasure to work internally in the company for, let's say, a task force that was already operating digital transformation, marketing transformation, e-commerce transformation back in 2009. And they gave me the opportunity to see the larger market opportunity existing. And so I decided to leave the company in 2012 and create the eBusiness Institute that I lead now since 7 years. We're based in Geneva, and we work with multinational companies like Procter, Nestle, Mattel, Logitech, Novartis, and many others to lead their digital transformation, in particular in marketing and e-commerce, with consulting work, with upskilling, reskilling. So definitely we can talk about skills and what's needed today to thrive into a multinational environment. And last but not least, I'm very interested and passionate about technology in general, innovation. I'm a Singularity University alumnus and constantly love to understand the impact of technology in our lives, in our businesses and beyond.
Excellent.
Looking forward.
Thank you. Looking forward to having you as an expert with us. Thank you very much. Pierre, the floor is yours, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be with you. I'm also based in Geneva. I've been working for Gamned. I found this agency, and what is important to highlight is that as a digital media agency, we believe that the transformation of digital advertising is really programmatic, which means automation of the execution of campaign. And when we talk about campaign, it's about display, it's a social media, it's a video, as you mentioned earlier on YouTube, but it's now going to out of home, digital out of home, and also television. And I mean, I found the company 8 years ago. And what is really funny is that there is always new activities that you can run. For example, last year, we have done the first digital out-of-home campaign, which was programmatic, that is managed with platform. And that's always something that I really appreciate. It's always to give to our client, always developing new practices. And this year, it's more the year of TikTok. I hope we'll have time to discuss about it. But that's what we are doing at GamNed. And I hope I will exchange a little bit with you tonight.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Pierre. And Chris, last but not least, the floor is yours.
Okay, so very shortly, I started in very traditional business, which was a daily newspaper, but I realized that this is not the thing I want to do, so I moved to digital. I was managing digital departments in companies as Canal Plus and UPC. I was working as well on the side of the biggest Polish digital agency, K2, where I was supporting customers as Volkswagen, Carrefour, IKEA, Johnson Pharmaceutical, Nationale-Nederlanden, Statoil, and few more. So because I was working in various fields, I had a chance to see perspective of a brand for digital, as well perspective of the media and perspective of agency, which sometimes is quite useful to see all of those perspectives at the same time. My, let's say, main specialties are digital marketing, e-commerce, and web development. And the thing which I'm, let's say, most passionate in digital is definitely data, which helps you to describe the reality and show where actually you are at the moment, where are you heading, and if you are going the right way.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So listening to you and looking at the pool of questions that we have prepared for you tonight, I tried to attribute the questions to basically your backgrounds and your specific areas of expertise. So for my panelists, you have the questions in our WhatsApp group, so to make things a bit easier for you. So I propose, Luigi, that we can start with you. What fascinates me about what you said, and what I'm sure is going to interest our participants as well, is your the passing your path from corporate to entrepreneurship, the transformation in the digital marketing space that you mentioned. So could you please tell us a little bit more about what are the latest trends? So specifically, is content still king? Is email marketing still effective? Are websites still relevant in the age of social media and e-commerce? What's your opinion on that?
So I will tell you what I usually tell my clients when they ask similar questions. And what I usually say is that we need to take a few steps back, because we have to understand, first and foremost, that today we are living into an era of significant acceleration of digital commerce. We see digitalization entering every aspect of our life. We see data everywhere. We see consumers becoming more savvy about the usage of technology. And then, of course, in the last 7-8 months, the COVID-19 has accelerated all of this and has mixed things up in a way that many are still struggling to understand. So we need to take a step back. What is the priority for companies, for digital market, for marketeers, for digital marketeers, is not to stay fixated on a single channel, but rather to understand consumers or customers, how they are approaching the journey, the path to purchase that relates to certain products or services that a company is offering. And basically taking that step back, understanding consumers, getting insights on how they are going through this path to purchase, what are the different stages, what is relevant for them across those different stages, and understand what companies are offering to these consumers as a message, as an experience, as education, as opportunity to buy, step after step. This process, which we usually call consumer journey, consumer experience mapping, usually leads into the creation of a content and channel strategy that defines what kind of channels do I want to use to reach my target audience, what kind of message do I need to put out there in each of these channels to support the path to purchase advancements of consumers, of shoppers. And so in that regards, then the question on, is my website relevant? Is content relevant? For sure, the answer is absolutely yes. Is email relevant? Takes the form of, is it relevant for the consumer? And what should I communicate through that channel based on the stage where I find my consumers? So I would take that approach rather than saying, is a certain channel still relevant or not? Then, of course, and closing, you might say a channel like email that is critical, is very important, is also very crowded, very spammy. So the message I put out cannot be generic, cannot be obvious, has to cut through the mess of today's, the cluttered world of today's email, for example.
Excellent. So if I understand correctly what you're saying, the core of the message is that the approach has to be tailored to the specific needs, correct?
Absolutely.
So it has to be personalized. That's a fascinating comment and a fascinating insight as well. So if I could take that conversation one step further, and Pierre, ask you how you feel about, how do you figure out if your brand is then doing a good job in digital marketing and meeting the expectations, basically? So if you tailor it, what are some of the benchmarks? Are there specific KPIs that you can measure your basically your objectives against?
It's not an easy discussion because there is many elements that we have to take into account in order to get an overview. There is big companies that are really doing a lot of activities in order to be able to offer let's say a good overview of where we are. But I do believe that most important is for companies is more to let's say to give a big picture with nice dashboard, but the most important one is to have something that is actionable, because in many companies we are living with dashboard with dozens of data, but most of the time we don't do anything with this data. So what I would only say about it is just keep in mind that digital marketing, it's a lot of activities of doing. It's really, it's something that is very operational. Of course, we can always have the time to discuss about strategy, but the most important thing is it's really to be in a move where we have non-stop of trying, testing, improving, and it's something that is never ending.
Excellent. So it's a perpetual process, basically. And if I understand correctly, it's a trial and error. So it must be fascinating to see what works and then basically redesign certain concepts. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. It could be, for example, for people who are doing creative. So if you are testing different elements of a creative, which is message, but end of day, if we are talking about creative, there is not one creative that is matching for all audience or for all target groups. So the game is really to find what are the purpose of which target group that are more, let's say, intent to buy or to click on a banner because of this message or this background. And that's what is really powerful today, because we are using a lot of, let's say, of big data, of intelligence, artificial intelligence, in order to be able to do what humans are not able to do, because there is so many data that today it's not something that human can do. And to be able to develop, thousands of different versions of a marketing message, of a banner, that's something that is really giving much more power for a brand.
Great. So basically what you said, that the main criteria is that it's operational, that it's not just strategic as a strategic exercise, but that's something that is, like you said, actionable. And that's I think the juice of the message here. Chris, in relation to that, my question would be to take the conversation one step further again. Should digital marketing be tailored to industry, the nature of the business? So if we think about B2B or B2C, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so definitely it should be tailored to business. It should be tailored as well if this is a B2B or B2C. Why? Because, for example, in companies which are, there are some companies which are both B2B and B2C. So, for example, solutions which you can use from pharma company where you are trying to reach people in a B2B area. So you as a pharma company try to touch physicians, you want to as well reach pharmacists, and solutions which will work, for example, for a company from different industry like automotive will not work for pharma. Why? Because pharma has a quite, let's say, still traditional model. It is reaching, there is a lot of traditional contact with the people, so direct meetings, direct calls, now maybe as well WhatsApp messages, video calls, and so on. So you have to take into account within the customer journey all touch points, not just digital touch points, but you want to see at the end the whole picture. As well, in the B2B, it's much easier to focus on, let's say, quality of contact. You have usually much less people, but there is much bigger value of a person, of a contract. In B2C, you are dealing usually with people who are unidentified, with the big groups where sales are much lower per person. So then you are using solutions which sometimes are with the lower quality of the marketing, lower quality of the message, with no even face-to-face contact of a live person, but you have to decide for something which will allow you to reach all of those people.
Thank you. Very interesting. I see that Jannis would like to contribute further to the discussion. Jannis, let's have your insights on that.
Yes, sure. I must say I very much liked especially what Luigi said about the overall ecosystem of different touch points, and that not one size fits all, but rather you have to understand for your specific category, for your brand, which touch points are more important. And also the different channels quite often are connected and are enablers for the other channels. So what I consider especially important is the content, which you have also mentioned at the beginning, because it's content is something that we have to use as a currency in the digital marketing world. If we want to attract the consumers to our channels, we have to give them content. If we want them to have a reason to come back, again, we should provide relevant and engaging content for them. And also data, as Chris also mentioned, if we want to start gathering consumer data and if we want to ask our users, our consumers, to share it with us, this is something that we have to give them in return, exactly the content. So think pregnant, in my industry, for example, a pregnancy calendar type of content for their mailboxes every day. We can then further use this data to, of course, show them a relevant message, personalized communication in the right touch point, as Pierre mentioned, in a programmatic way. But then also the websites are considered maybe this old school channel, which some people say social or e-commerce. These are the main touch points for at the moment. However, we still see that websites are important. So it's the real estate that we own in the digital sphere. We know that a large part of these consumer or shopper journeys actually cross the websites at some stage. We know that people search a lot, and these searches have only gone up in the recent few months. And when these people who search for answers, where do they land? They actually land on our website. The same about paid media campaigns. our websites are the environment where all of this traffic ends. So this is then up to us to convert this incoming traffic and to offer a great experience, relevant content, be engaging, and also make it as easy as possible to buy the product. So I think this is really very much connected, and it's hard to have an answer for all of these questions, but rather see from a perspective of a given brand, given category to define the strategy.
Fascinating comment. I really liked, I took a note of it, the digital real estate, that the website is a digital real estate. I really love that phrase. It catches the core of what the trend is now. So what makes for a great website? What features do we need to have a really functional, operational, attractive website?
Well, I think it has to be easy to use. It has to be, of course, mobile first, but also it needs to be based on what consumers are asking for, and it's very easy to actually figure out what they expect from a website, because they tell us. They tell us via search when we see what is the content, what are the topics that are most relevant for them, and at the same time most relevant for the brand, of course. It needs to load fast. We have a benchmark of under 3 seconds on a 3G network. It has to be engaging, and it has to be streamlined so that we could direct this traffic to where we want it to land. So in our case, this is usually a where to buy button where we can kind of transfer this traffic further to e-commerce.
Excellent. And I see that both Pierre and Luigi would like to contribute to what you just said. So maybe Pierre, let's start with your insights on that.
Yeah, one new trend that you can see is regarding the website is not having a website. Why? Because I don't know if you've seen like social media platform that Instagram, they are not offering in-app opportunities to shop. That means all the experience is inside the application. Why? Because all young audience, they like it because it's convenient. They don't want to move away from the platform they are using, so they want to stay inside, and they don't have to switch between the application to make payment. And that's something that is very disruptive, because if you have built a lot of money to create a website that no one is visiting your website, that's also something that we have to take into account regarding the way, especially the new user are using website or not using website.
Yes, great point as well, Luigi.
Actually, Pierre is giving me also the opportunity to build on Jannis' point before, because I believe there is a tension in the market right now. We see it on the clients. On one side, the trend, especially coming from China, that Pierre was mentioning, is the all-in applications, WeChat as an example, that are basically allowing you to do everything into one application. And on the other side, brands are recognizing the importance of data and consumer data and acquiring consumer data, which of course can be done across platforms, but the website is certainly one of those channels that allows for certain consumer data gathering. So there is a tension between how much do I rely in my ecosystem on someone else's platform, Facebook, Instagram, and so on in the Western world, versus how much do I still build and own some sort of a relationship with the consumer, where I have ability to do some personalization, provide content, and so on. So there is a tension in the market, which is an interesting one to observe and to work on at the moment.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Chris,
yes,
question that I'm sure, yes, you have.
If I can add one more thing.
Go ahead, yes.
On the subject of the websites. I think that there is one thing which is quite important. Now there is a change, or will be change, in the policy related with the cookies from side of Google and Chrome, which will put much more focus on the first-party data, because third-party data will not be available. So a lot of brands will, in this case, focus much more on the first-party data, and websites with the contents are actually one of the possibilities, how you can reach this data about the human behavior, what those people do, how to segment them, and so on.
My question was more, thank you for that insight as well. My question was related of what I'm sure that some of our participants will be looking for and be interested in is what types of skills does one need to have in order to excel in digital marketing in today's volatile, ever-changing environment, especially now in relation to the COVID situation and AI introduction and so on, all the latest trends?
So I guess from my perspective, this is a bit tricky question because I think there is no such a thing which you can say, okay, I'm a just digital marketeer. There are so many specialties. It's a bit like a hospital where you have a lot of physician specialties. You have as well administration, you have an IT team, you have technicians, you have cleaning staff. And you need all of those people. So actually, from my perspective, it's better to do some research, like to see what are the job descriptions now on the market, select some of them, and to see what from your perspective is the most interesting. But then to talk with people who are on those positions to see what actually they do. Because if you are starting, even if you are a professional in marketing, but you are starting digital, then I think it's good to, let's say, see how your expectations are matching reality. Even then, I don't think you will have the full scope. And I think it's good to attend or course or educate on some digital courses to see broader perspective of digital marketing from, for example, how you build creatives for digital, how you plan media, how you build analytics, how you build websites from front end, but as well from the backend perspective. What is the marketing automation, and so on and so on. To when you see, let's say, at least some information from all of those fields, then it's much easier to understand which part is the best for you. Because of course I can say, yeah, you should learn Python or R and focus on the artificial intelligence, and then perhaps for next 5 or 10 years you will not have a problem with looking for a job. But this is not for everybody. Somebody else might really love to do digital creatives. So you have to really research, you have to go somewhere where you can see broader perspective, and then decide by yourself.
Excellent. I think that's very helpful as a comment to our students and also our participants and the executives who are looking for expanding their professional horizons and their skill set. What the point that you made, that it makes sense to attend certain courses and to see which basically where you see yourself as the best fit and which are your specific areas of interest, and then investigate that in more detail. So that's a great point, and we can talk about that. What are the possibilities of doing that? For example, at Webster, we'll talk about that at the end of the conference as well. So thank you for that point. I see Luigi wants to add some comments on that question as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, absolutely. This is a topic very close to my heart and to my business. And I like Chris' analogy of the hospital. I didn't think about that before, so we're gonna use it again, Chris. First of all, digital marketing is a subset of marketing. We should not forget that, because today I still see a lot of companies looking for some sort of a digital marketeer, even on higher positions, a director and so on. But that person needs to have a strong marketing background. We should not forget about that. Now, taking that aside, obviously, Chris was mentioning it before, you have multiple options in front of you. My advice, if we're talking about students that will enter the job market soon, my advice will be to try different things, learn different things, go for internships in different parts of the hospital, as Chris said, and have a taste for yourself for what it means to be some specialist into the chain of marketing, of digital marketing. But at the same time, think about roles that are more rounded around marketing, brand management, brand building, and so on, and have a taste of that. For executives, so for more senior people, which have already had a career most likely in marketing, and now they're facing the question, how has marketing changed? In that case, to me, the opportunity is to understand in broader terms the transformation happening in marketing and have a more rounded study journey where you enter into different aspects of what is happening with marketing and how brand building is changing. So it depends a little bit on where you're coming from. One thing for sure that I would say, there is a must, regardless if you are senior or a student, data literacy is a must for everybody, no matter what job you want to have in marketing today.
Okay, excellent. And I see that Pierre would like to share something with us as well.
Yeah, it's I really am following you, Luigi, when you are mentioning that when we were talking about digital marketing first, we are doing marketing. And I mean, we are working for many clients that are doing like e-commerce. And, you know, at one moment where you are going to set up something, you have to need to know what is the goal of the campaign. So what is my goal? It could be acquisition cost, it can be return on ad spend, whatever you want. And the funny thing, it's in a platform to set up or not optimize. That's really a no-brainer. But the hardest thing is to get it from client, because most clients have no idea about it. No idea. So you are thinking, okay, what do we do? What is my customer value? What is my customer lifetime value? And many brands have no idea about it. So that's very often where the big challenge is starting, is to set the goals.
Great, excellent insight. So I think that at this point, we're going to be closing our discussion in about 5 minutes with a very important question, so that you can all contribute to that. Before we start gathering the feedback and questions from the audience, and I can share also how Webster can help you maximize on the skill set for the participants as well. So the last question that I would like to, the structured question at least, is to all our experts. What advice specifically would you give to those who would want to work in the digital marketing sector today? And go ahead as you wish to take the floor.
I can start maybe because I already wanted to add something to the previous point, and I think it connects very well. So Chris mentioned trying the different types of jobs within the hospital. And I think the one place that is excellent for gathering such experiences is an agency. So either working in an agency, in a consultancy, or working very closely with the agency that is working for your brand is an amazing opportunity to learn from them, because you then have access to subject matter experts in their specific fields. And as Pierre mentioned, many clients do not even employ such specialists in such narrow fields, but you can see them at work, and you can then see what you like, but also gather this deep practical expertise. You can learn doing things by yourself to not only understand the big picture and the strategy, but also know how things are done, how the technology behind digital marketing works. And it helped me personally a lot. It helped me to get this perspective of an expert in order to use it to achieve a business objective. So I think agencies are sometimes undervalued because they are not just vendors. They have experts that can bring a lot of value, that understand not only their area, but also understand your brand. Very often if you are a marketer, and the combination of these two is something that you will need for most of your digital marketing career. So
excellent. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much. Also on behalf of the audience, I'm sure. Pierre. would there be something that you'd like to add?
I would like just to say one thing from Jannis is I think 1 year in an agency, it's probably 10 years in a brand. Why? You are probably have 10 clients, so you have 10 different experiences during the year. And of course, you have your hands on the operation. You are not maybe too much on the strategy, but you are really the one who at the end of the day is really doing the operation. And if I have one recommendation is really two, in fact, is first is to have fun, because I mean, if when you wake up, it's something that is important. And the second one is just love what you do.
Excellent. I love that. I live by that motto, you know, that if you do what you love, you don't work one day in your life. So 100% I agree on that with you. So thank you, Pierre. Chris, what about you? What do you think?
So I think that if somebody, so my advices would be three. First, ask the questions, and a lot of questions. Try to understand why and how. And the third thing, it will be ask for real life examples, because in digital field, there is a lot of overpromise. There is a lot of, let's say, sometimes technological mumbo jumbo, which not always is the truth. So it's really good ask, okay, it sounds perfect. Show me. I want to see this, how it works. And then you will move really fast forward if you understand what is going on, what is possible, how it's working.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And Luigi, your take on that.
So the rate of obsolescence among marketeers and digital marketeers is incredibly high, which means that when you want to be in the field of marketing, digital marketing, you have to be ready for an ongoing education journey, meaning you will have to constantly learn, unlearn, relearn, even on very specific topics. I don't know, you want to be a search expert, be ready to relearn every 6 months. Social media, constantly relearning. So be ready for leaving school and starting that journey, and do not rely on whoever is your employer to tell you what to learn, but design your own learning path.
Excellent. And just to close that discussion on the skill set that is necessary, given all the practical insights, what you can do also from the theory and practice oriented and bridged, what we can offer here and are offering at Webster are two certificates. One is for undergraduates in data analytics, and the other is a postgrad certificate, digital marketing certificate. The next edition, the 2021 edition, starts in January 2021. So we invite you, if you're interested, to get in touch with us, and for more information, we're willing to provide that and have a session if necessary, information session. Our certificate has been designed with the aid of experts such as these that you can see today. So we're addressing the most current trends, the most common needs, I would say, to increase your employability and understanding of how to navigate that, what you called the digital real estate and the digital marketing landscape as well. So if you're interested in that, feel free to get in touch with us. And at my end, now I would like to thank you very much for the structured part of the panel, and I will open the floor. We have around 12 minutes left for questions and answers from the audience, so please feel free to either write your questions in the chat box or just speak up, unmute yourselves, and benefit from the presence and the expertise that we have here tonight with us. The floor is yours, my participants, our participants.
Kasia, thank you very much for this. This is Ron. I apologize for my camera. I don't know what's happening. It keeps going on and off. So I've listened to everything everyone has said. And oh, by the way, for those of you that don't know me, I do teach marketing at Webster. And the sad thing for me is I don't have anything to add. Everything you said was excellent. I totally 100% agree. And if it's possible to say 110%, I would say that. No.
Ron, that's the best feedback that we can get. Our panelists, I think that's the most rewarding feedback that they can get, and I fully agree.
Well,
Nonetheless,
go ahead, sorry.
Nonetheless, if there are questions, then let's have them.
Okay, let me ask you a question. As a digital marketing professionals, have you ever come across a situation where it was impossible for you to communicate the message to the target audience? You just couldn't find a way to do it correctly or that worked? Anybody?
I think
Pierre?
most of the time you're not doing it correctly because you're just messing up the message, and there is a lot of waste in all what we are doing. Despite all the targeting possibilities we have, in fact, there is not one customer profile. That means you don't have one target group, which is like 20, 25 socio-demographic with this kind of interest and so on. So most of the time, that's my daughter. Most of the time, for targeting, it's complicated because you don't have one profile, but a lot of them to target. And what is complicated also is to give them a personalized message, I mean, based on their expectation. And today, I guess, I mean, no one is doing it correctly. We have to be also honest and transparent with everyone. TV is a mass media. Out of home, it's the same. It's a mass media, which is not very efficient. So I guess we have a lot to do in the digital marketing field to improve it.
Chris, would you agree to this?
I think that if there is a message which is difficult to address, then it means that you have to know more about the target group. And I remember one campaign which was done for the oil company, and we had actually problem how to reach those people which were in the target group. It was a B2B campaign addressed to owners of medium and small truck companies, and it was very specific message as for oil company. But actually, we conducted some interviews with those people. We found them, we've discussed with them, we asked them many questions. And actually, after 4 or 5 interviews like that, after sharing insights from those interviews with the whole team, with the programmatic team, with the creative team, with the strategy team, we just work it out. It worked really good. So I think that if there is no way how to do this, you have to take a step back and just know more about your target audience and what you should communicate, how you should reach them.
Okay, so I totally agree that if you don't know enough about your target audience, your message is going to be insufficient and probably not hit the target or not really communicate the message that you want. But then the question boils down to is that how do you know when you have enough information about your target audience to create that meaningful message? Luigi, I'd like to have your thoughts on that, because this is always a problem that I have in the real world.
I mean, I guess it depends where you're trying to reach that target audience and what is a significant size or pool of data to be considered when you are assessing whether the message you're sharing is valuable or not, and what kind of KPIs you are associating with that. I guess, if you are taking that question in a media perspective, which I guess is most likely one of the facets for which you're asking this question, I would put the answer into what is relevant for the channel where you are approaching that audience in terms of KPIs. If you're taking it not as a media question, but let's say gathering consumer data because you are giving them a certain piece of content, again, I would all revert it down to the KPIs on the conversion rate. So I see it through data. Data should be able to tell you if the message is valuable or not.
Excellent. And Luigi, I think you wanted to add something. You had...
Yeah, actually, I mean, since we have a young audience here tonight, and Pierre was mentioning at the beginning TikTok, if I can get the audience to tell in the chat whether they use TikTok or not, let's say on a daily-ish basis, just say yes or no in the chat so we can see if we can get that very quickly.
Yes.
And then Pierre, yeah.
Just put your question answers yes or no simple. Do you use TikTok? And we've already got the chats flowing in from my best students. Excellent.
Ah, okay, Pierre, you see there's still some room for penetration here. Wow. Okay, so that's quite a few. I wasn't expecting this. Jannis, that's worrying. It means that they're addressing they're addressing us, because I also use TikTok actually.
Okay, we're getting more chats.
So the question for Pierre, and you guys can continue to put yes or no. The question for Pierre is, how are you seeing TikTok being used by marketeers these days?
Good question.
You're on mute.
Sorry,
Pierre,
I'm on mute. Yeah. If you look, I'm focused on Switzerland, so we are not the most advanced country, because just first example is advertising is not always open. What I say open is it's complicated to do advertising. You still have to be in beta and so on. So it's not open like in France, in Germany, or in Italy. But when we look today, we've run, for example, a campaign last month for Helvetia. And Helvetia, it's a big brand. It's an insurance company. And what they are looking to get apprentices on board. And of course, they are in the core of the audience group. So that was a good example in order to reach a small audience. What is very challenging for brand is to use TikTok. I mean, the style of TikTok, and not to take a video that is not made for TikTok and so on. So today it's easy to put content like you can do it on YouTube. What is more challenging for companies is to create content that is adapted to, let's say, to the DNA of TikTok, but it could be the same on Snapchat, on any other platform.
Excellent.
Can I close, Kasia, with something on this for the audience?
Go ahead, please.
Because I see a lot of no into the chat, and that might be good that you guys are not on TikTok, but if you want to be in digital marketing, use this platform with a critical view, of course, of what is happening on the platform, not necessarily engage yourself into producing content or wasting time, but try to understand what are the potential and the possibilities of this platform. It's very important as part of the ongoing education.
So if I can add one more thing.
Go ahead, yeah.
As well, if you want to move forward in digital area, then you should as well really look carefully what is going on in China, because Pierre mentioned that Switzerland is maybe not very advanced in at least some of areas of digital, but the fact is that now if you want to really see what is happening where trends are set, usually it will be China.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Are there any questions, any more questions maybe from the audience? And you can either speak up or put them in the chat box.
Quickly, I would like to just to highlight, I mean, to remember to everyone that we organize a study trip to China every year. So unfortunately, this year we have not been able to do it because of this situation with the COVID, but I'm sure that next year we are going to do it. So we bring students for 1 week in China, and that's important because I fully support your view, Chris. I mean, this is the place, so we have to be there, sure.
So maybe I'll add one funny thing for end of this subject. I spoke recently with a friend of mine who works as in digital field in quite a large company in Geneva. And he told me like, okay, I want to get back to China soon. And I said, yeah, but why? Geneva is not nice for you. And he said, yeah, it's perfect. But to be honest, I feel that I'm staying so much behind in my field. I have to get back to China to advance, to learn in this speed that I was learning before. And I thought about this like, okay, you are actually right. I fully understand you.
Excellent. Are there any other questions from the audience? Comments or questions? I'm looking at the chat box in case you're contributing, but I think we're good and we're in time. So what remains to be said is that I think this was a very insightful conference that gave us an idea of certain aspects related to the current trends in digital marketing. Also, that we saw how highly proactive and tailored to the consumer and the customer the approach needs to be. Also, what I found very interesting was that comment on actionable activities and also the digital real estate that is your website. So I think that this very short but highly intense exchange with our panelists, our experts in the field of digital marketing, has provided us with a deeper understanding of what the trends are, what is the skill set that is necessary, and gave us a taste of how the landscape of digital marketing is changing. So what remains to be said is that I thank you. First of all, I thank the participants for joining us tonight. Big thanks, of course, goes out to the experts. Thank you for your time and your contributions and your precious insights. Thank you also to Celia, who manages and makes these events possible for us, and for the great organization as well, for my precious assistant, without whom I could not pull this off so quickly and so swiftly. So thank you to all the great people that contributed to tonight's excellent exchange. I wish you a lot of deeper thoughts and insights after what was said today in the conference. Hopefully that will provide some framework for you on how you think about digital marketing in the future, and potentially see yourself building a career in digital marketing, or expanding your career, or brushing up on your skill set in that regard. And have a nice evening, everyone, and most importantly, stay safe and be well in these difficult times.
Thank you, Kasia.
Thank you very
Bye-bye,
much.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.